It was a bright Saturday morning when I noticed the noise before I even saw the damage. The sound of a jackhammer pounding my driveway echoed across the ranch. My heart sank. I ran outside and froze. There she was, Karen, wielding the jackhammer herself, flanked by a couple of HOA board members who looked far less confident than she did. "Step aside," she shouted, brandishing the tool like some ceremonial weapon. "We're making improvements to the driveway. This is an HOA project, and you are interfering with community standards." I blinked. My private driveway, my land. And yet here was Karen, ready to destroy it over a petty dispute. I stepped forward calmly. "Karen, stop. You are on private property. That's not yours to jackhammer." She laughed. "We have authority. You'll be fined, and if you resist, you'll be arrested." It didn't take long for things to escalate. Within minutes of her hammering, I smelled gas. My stomach dropped. One of the jackhammer strikes had hit the underground gas line running to my home. I immediately yelled for everyone to evacuate, which luckily included Karen and her minions, though they protested. I called 911, reporting a potential gas leak. The operator's voice was calm but urgent. "Evacuate immediately. Keep a safe distance. We're sending firefighters and the gas company." By the time the emergency crews arrived, the entire block had been evacuated. Neighbors gathered across the street, watching the chaos. Karen was pale, finally realizing her reckless actions could have had deadly consequences. The firefighters quickly shut off the line and assessed the damage. One of them, shaking his head, said, "This was a serious hazard. Whoever did this could be charged with reckless endangerment." I calmly handed over my property deeds, pointing out that Karen was trespassing and responsible for the damage. The officers nodded, already drafting reports. Once the immediate danger passed, I turned my attention to the aftermath. The driveway had several large gouges and cracks. Karen had tried to justify her actions as community maintenance, but the police report made it clear. This was trespassing, property destruction, and reckless endangerment. I filed a civil claim for damages, including repair costs, fines for trespassing, and emotional distress caused by putting my family and neighbors in danger. Karen tried to argue HOA authority, but the judge didn't even hesitate. Trespassing and property destruction are crimes, HOA or not. The HOA board scrambled to distance themselves from Karen. They feared criminal liability and public backlash. Within a week, Karen had been cited, heavily fined, and banned from all community activities. The board issued a public apology to me, acknowledging her unauthorized actions and pledging to review internal procedures to prevent another disaster. For final poetic justice, I hired a contractor to restore the driveway, but added a small plaque in front of it, engraved with bold letters. "Private property, unauthorized destruction will result in criminal prosecution." Every time Karen drove past my house, she could see the plaque and remember how her arrogance nearly destroyed more than just my driveway. The neighbors still talk about the jackhammer incident as a cautionary tale, a perfect example of HOA overreach gone terribly wrong. By the end of the month, my driveway was fully repaired, the gas line secured, and Karen's reputation utterly destroyed. She tried to explain it away in the community newsletter, but no one listened. Everyone knew the truth. She had endangered lives, destroyed property, and overplayed her power, once again, paying the price for her hubris. I sat on my porch with a cold drink, watching the sun glint off the restored driveway, satisfied. Karen had learned, painfully, that no amount of HOA authority could trump law, property rights, and common sense. Last year, I had to spend 6 months overseas for work. Before leaving, I made sure everything was secured, fences repaired, and cattle tended to. I had a ranch hand checking in weekly. Everything was in order. But when I returned, I didn't recognize my own land. Where my fields once stretched, there were rows of cookie-cutter houses, sidewalks, streetlights, driveways, and bright banners that read, "Welcome to Oak Ridge Estates, Phase 2. 138 brand new homes, built directly on my property." I nearly ran my truck off the road. I stormed straight to the HOA clubhouse, where Karen, the president, was sipping iced tea like a queen on her throne. "You've got 10 seconds to explain why there are houses on my land," I growled. Karen smiled sweetly. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. The developer decided to expand, and your ranch land was perfect. Don't worry, you'll be compensated once the sales finalize." My blood boiled. "You built on MY property without consent. That's trespass, fraud, and theft." Karen laughed. "You weren't using it. Now families will enjoy it. You should be thanking us." I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just walked out because I knew something she didn't. See, the developer who originally built their subdivision? I'd gone to school with the CEO, and while the HOA thought they were cozy with him, they forgot one important detail. Their contracts only covered the lots already sold. They had zero rights to expand without purchasing new land. And they hadn't purchased mine, which meant every one of those 138 houses was sitting illegally on my ranch. I called the CEO. "Hey, you might want to check your records," I told him, "because your company just built phase 2 on land I still own." There was silence on the other end of the line, followed by a panicked, "What?" I sent him the deed, the surveys, and the aerial photos. Within hours, his legal team descended on the HOA like a pack of wolves. Turns out, the HOA board had forged documents claiming they had development rights. The contractor never verified ownership, they just built. That single mistake triggered one of the biggest lawsuits in county history. The HOA was sued for fraud. The developer sued them for damages. Homebuyers sued them for selling illegal lots. And me? I sued for land theft. In the end, the HOA was completely bankrupted. Karen and her board were personally liable for millions. Their homes were seized, their assets drained, and their reputations destroyed. As for the 138 new houses, the county condemned them. Some were bulldozed, others sat empty, rotting shells of a failed scam. My ranch hand and I tore down the cheap sidewalks and fences, and I reclaimed my land. Today, when I drive past that part of my ranch, it's peaceful again, just wide, open fields. A few remnants of driveways poke through the grass like scars, reminders of what Karen and her HOA tried to steal. They thought they could take my land while I was away. Instead, they lost everything, while I gained one of the most ironclad property rights cases in county history. My ranch stood long before their HOA, and it'll still be here long after they're gone.